Hello and welcome. Today, we gather with a shared commitment to address one of the most pressing and profound challenges facing our society, the management of PTSD among our esteemed veterans. As we stand on the precipice of this presentation, we must recognize the gravity of the issue and its profound impact on the lives of those who have bravely served our nation. Every veteran's journey is unique, marked by moments of bravery, sacrifice, and often profound trauma. As they return from the battlefield to the familiarity of civilian life, many find themselves grappling with invisible wounds that threaten to overshadow their triumphs. PTSD, a complex and debilitating mental health condition, manifests in a myriad of ways, disrupting relationships, careers, and personal well-being. PTSD among veterans presents a significant and complex challenge, impacting their overall well-being, quality of life, and successful reintegration into civilian society. Despite various interventions and support services available, many veterans continue to face barriers to accessing timely and effective PTSD management. These barriers may include, but are not limited to, stigma surrounding mental health, limited access to specialized care, and gaps in coordination between military and civilian healthcare providers. Addressing these challenges is critical to ensuring that veterans receive the comprehensive and tailored support they need to manage PTSD and lead fulfilling lives post-service. This QI project aims to enhance the quality of effectiveness of PTSD management among veterans through a systematic and data-driven approach. By identifying areas for improvement and implementing target interventions, we aim to optimize care delivery, improve patient outcomes, and enhance the overall experience of veterans accessing PTSD services. Through this project, we also seek to develop sustainable solutions that address the root cause of barriers to care and promote a culture of support and resilience within the veteran community. In this presentation, our objectives are multifaceted. First, we aim to elucidate the prevalence and profound impact of PTSD among veterans, underscoring the imperative for enhanced management strategies. Secondly, we seek to articulate the findings derived from our QI project, explaining the identified gaps in PTSD management, conducting root cause analysis, and proposing targeted interventions. Our third objective is to expound on the proposed interventions and strategies designed to augment PTSD management, encompassing initiatives aimed at mitigating stigma, improving access to care, fostering better coordination between military and civilian providers, and advocating for evidence-based treatments. Lastly, we aspire to illustrate the anticipated benefits stemming from this QI endeavor, including enhanced patient outcomes, improved patient experience, and heightened satisfaction among veterans accessing PTSD services.
Post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, is a type of trauma and stressor-related disorder that is defined as the development of persistent symptoms along with difficulty functioning after exposure to a life-threatening experience. These symptoms are divided into 4 categories: intrusion, such as spontaneous memories of the traumatic event, recurrent dreams, or flashbacks; avoidance, such as distressing memories, thoughts, feelings, or external reminders of the event; negative connotations and mood, such as a variety of feelings, including persistent negative emotions, feelings of detachment or alienation; and arousal, which can include aggression, recklessness, or self-destructive behavior, sleep disturbances, and hypervigilance. The prevalence of PTSD is higher among veterans when compared to the general adult population relating to events during combat experience. PTSD has been consistently linked to a heightened suicidal ideation and attempts, particularly among veterans who face a 1.5 to 2 times greater risk of suicide when compared to the general population. Research indicates that approximately 14% of all suicides in the United States are among veterans. It is imperative that we address the alarming rates of suicide among veterans grappling with PTSD. By implementing targeted interventions and support systems aimed at mitigating the risk factors associated with PTSD and suicidal behavior, we can strive to safeguard the well-being of those who have served our nation and work towards a future where every veteran receives the care and assistance they need to thrive beyond their military service.
This figure from the National Comorbidity Survey replication represents PTSD amongst the population as a whole between the years of 2001 and 2003, which takes into account genders and those over the age of 18. Evaluating the data, we are able to see that the highest prevalence are amongst women and those within the age range of 45 to 59. According to the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs, approximately 6% of the U.S. population will have PTSD at some point in their lives. Many who have had PTSD will recover and no longer meet diagnostic criteria for PTSD after treatment. About 5% of adults have PTSD in any given year. And what's interesting to note is that in 2020, about 13 million Americans had PTSD. Relating back to figure, 8% of women are more likely to develop PTSD than men, and about 4% of men will have PTSD at some point within their life. This is in particularly due to the types of traumatic events that women are more likely to experience, such as sexual assault compared to men. The figure on the left displays a survey on vets who experienced PTSD as a result from their military experience from the years of 2017 to 2022. Amongst this data set, it has been determined that between the years of 2019 and 2020, they have had the highest reported of PTSD cases, nearly 83%. As Jessica mentioned, the prevalence of PTSD are higher among vets when compared to the general adult population, relating to their combat experience. Tying into what Ashley mentioned about PTSD having a significant impact on veterans' overall well-being, quality of life, and successful reintegration into civilian society, we can look over the figure on the right and see that the data analysis surveying vets, we are able to determine that the factors leading up to their mental health conditions, as we see alcohol dependence being the leading cause of over the related issues amongst vets who are served. PTSD among vets were relatively 20% of those who served since 9/11. You may have noted that their research of a few of these data sets are from a few years prior, and that's because there are less efforts taken to figuring out root causes and prevalence of PTSD amongst the population. By increasing PTSD screening and improving disease awareness, it may allow for a better detection and management of PTSD.
The root cause analysis, serving in the military exposed individuals to a unique set of traumatic events not typically encountered by civilians. Deployment to war zones is a significant factor contributing to PTSD among veterans. These experiences and challenges faced during deployment, such as exposure to combat, witnessing traumatic events, and the constant threat of danger, can have a profound effect on mental health. Training accidents represent another significant factor. While often overlooked compared to the combat experiences, these accidents can have a profound psychological effect on the individuals. During trainings, military personnel are exposed to high-stress situations that simulate real combat scenarios. These experiences can involve live fire drills, simulated explosions, and other hazardous activities designated to prepare troops for such scenarios. Experiences of military sexual trauma is a significant but often overlooked cause of PTSD. Military sexual trauma includes unwanted sexual advances, sexual harassments, assault, and rape that occur during military service, and it can happen to both men and women. Studies have indicated that repeated deployments can actually elevate the likelihood of developing PTSD. Each deployment presents service members with unique set of different stressors and traumas associated with combat, such as a persistent threat of injury or death, and the witnessing of injuries or fatalities. These experiences can vary based on the factors such as the specific military role, the political environment of the conflict, and the location of the war, and the nature of the adversary faced. Also, as I mentioned earlier, the military sexual trauma by itself creates a big factor as PTSD in veterans. These include situations where individuals felt pressure to participate in sexual activities. They were unable to give consent due to the circumstances like intoxication or being asleep, or experience physical force to engage in sexual activities. PTSD in veterans often associated with development or exacerbation of chronic health conditions. The stress response triggered by PTSD can have a profound impact on the body, leading to different physical health issues. The most common ones frequently observed in veterans with PTSD include cardiovascular disease, obesity, hypertension, chronic pain, and anxiety. Negative beliefs and emotions. Veterans may experience an increased withdrawal, avoiding close relationships, and they appear to lack positive or affectionate feelings towards others. They may feel a strong urge to suppress traumatic memories and avoid discussing them altogether. They may experience big fear about the world, perceiving it as unsafe, and may struggle with trusting or depending on others.
Peer support interventions are essential in addressing mental health challenges among veterans transitioning to civilian life. Various peer support programs, including group therapy, were examined in the cited study for their effectiveness in supporting veteran mental health during the transition process. The feasibility and pertinence of these interventions were key considerations in the quality improvement process. The study examined various peer support programs, including group therapy, to assess their effectiveness in supporting veteran mental health during the transition process, considering factors such as suicide rates. The implementation process of peer support interventions involved various strategies outlined in the study. For instance, peer mentoring programs recruited and trained veterans to serve as mentors, ensuring they were equipped to provide guidance and support for their mentees. Group therapies were structured regularly with topics tailored to address common mental health challenges faced by transitioning veterans. These sessions provided a safe space for veterans to share experiences and learn coping skills from their peers. In conclusion, peer support interventions informed by research such as the study cited are essential for promoting mental health and well-being among veterans during the transition to civilian life. Through the quality improvement process, these interventions are designed to be feasible, pertinent, and effective in addressing the unique mental health needs of transitioning veterans.
Looking at the results of the QI study, suicidal ideation is much higher in veterans with PTSD, especially those that are younger than 30 years in age, and those who have been deployed 3 or more times. The Department of Defense reports already having several challenges to face when it comes to shortages in soldiers, which can be further hindered with an increase in suicidal rates. Group therapy sessions have been shown to allow veterans to share their experiences and coping strategies, as well as provide an outlet for their kept emotions. Structured and unstructured group therapies are offered for veterans or active military personnel that are experiencing difficulties with suicidal ideations related to their PTSD. Structured group therapies compare group brief cognitive behavioral therapies and dialectual behavioral therapies. Research comparing these two types of scheduled group therapies showed a reduced report of suicidal ideation in both groups. Each scheduled therapy session with the groups lasted 90 minutes per session and were done on a scheduled weekly basis for 12 to 24 weeks. Soldiers that participated in BCBT therapy were 60% less likely to make a subsequent suicidal attempt up to 2 years after completion of their therapy. Unstructured group therapy, in addition to these results, are those with PTSD participating in a weekly drop-in support group. These people reported an 81% reduction in suicidal ideation after attendance. The benefits of unstructured group therapy is increased flexibility in their participation for those who are not comfortable with the time commitment that's associated with scheduled therapies.
In conclusion, veterans with PTSD face challenges that affect their overall quality of life. PTSD has been linked to higher suicidal ideations and attempts compared to the general population. Existing barriers that affect successful PTSD management include stigmas around PTSD, limited specialized care and access coordination, gaps between military and civilian healthcare. This QI project aims to enhance PTSD management quality and reduce suicidal ideations through the use of various group therapies. Results from this project show that it is recommended for military personnel to participate in continued therapy with group sessions, either structured or unstructured, in order to effectively reduce the number of suicide attempts and report of suicide ideations in veterans with PTSD.